Jessica.
I'm Lauren.
Back in the studio.
Yes.
We love it.
Different setup.
Different setup.
We're trying new things.
We're trying to slim down, the video shot. So we're sitting at a table this time.
We decided waist up was better.
Waist up is always better. So we have a lot to cover this week.
Yes.
We skipped a week.
Yeah.
If people are really tagging us on our pod, we skipped last week. So now we have 3 different franchises to cover. And we're going to touch on Potomac.
Because there's just so much going
Jessica,
in the Bravo world.
So much. This week, I actually felt like this is a job.
Yeah.
I have a lot of homework to do. Don't talk to me, Kunal.
Well, literally, that's my excuse. We have, Vince and I have one TV. So if he's watching something, I'm like, Vince, I have to work. I've got to watch my shows. He's always like, stop calling it work.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let's start this week with Real Housewives of NYC. Then we'll move into Salt Lake and OC. We'll touch briefly on Potomac. Just to cover off on a couple of highlights.
Yes.
Okay, so Real Housewives of New York City. Erin this week is shopping with her mom and then has the meetup with Bryn at her apartment. Mm-hmm. The one thing I wanted to ask you about Erin is that haircut is giving Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
Which people are saying online that she reminds them already of
She's
her.
been compared to her a lot.
And I was like, this is we're literally watching Jennifer Aniston
We're
get
watching
her
the
shag.
Rachel.
Yeah, the Rachel come to life.
I really see it. When sometimes people say it and I'm bad at seeing the similarities, but I really see it with Erin.
Yeah. And so she and Abe finally, we figure out what's going on with their money problem. He sold the Bitcoin. Very new age, Jessica.
I know that it was Bitcoin. I was laughing that was
right. She's like, well, he sold our Bitcoin. I'm like, oh God.
I want to know numbers.
I know.
How much we talking?
On all of these people. Let's just say it. On Bryn, on Erin, on Jenna Lyons, we want to know how much they're making.
And did you catch Erin said she wanted to make a big mortgage payment. Mm-hmm. And I thought she must be talking about her Hamptons house. Because remember I said, I think they rent in the city.
Right.
So, yes, I know. Again, I was dogging some of them for being renters and being so wealthy, but I do think they own that Hamptons house.
So I did do a deep dive on one thing she said, which is just such an eye roll. She talks about the private plane that she was flying around in a private plane when she met Abe.
Oh, yeah.
And then he was like, well, yeah, it was because of that I felt we had to live this crazy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I went deep on her Instagram, Jessica.
Who was it with?
Well, okay, I feel a weird saying this.
Do not tell me it was Diddy.
No, it wasn't. And everyone thinks that. So I saw on Reddit that she's good friends with Lindsay Lohan's sister, Scott Disick. And then she, of course, doesn't say the name. I don't think Scott Disick could have had a private plane without the Kardashian.
And that long ago.
Yeah.
No.
So I went back to her very first post on Instagram, and there was a rapper named Catrell Kelly who had liked the very first post. Okay. Now, he's this guy. We did some research on him. Started a record label. He's 38 years old, so he's around the same age as her. And then he had some massive hits in 2019. None that you would know about.
Okay, I was never heard his name.
I didn't know about any of them, but he started 2 different record labels, and I thought maybe he was who she was flying around with. I think it would be very Erin to have it be kind of a no name, mentions it out there, doesn't want to say the name.
Yeah.
Kind of implies she doesn't have to sleep with anybody, and it's kind of a no name.
Interesting.
Right?
God, I didn't even wonder. I just assumed it was some rich New York trust fund person. I didn't even think celebrity.
Well, he's clearly F-list. I mean, not even D-list.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't even know who that is. But I went back to the first post. So, I mean, heard it here first, right?
Yeah, good job,
Hot take.
Lauren.
Okay, so then the big kind of piece of this episode is Bryn and Erin meet up to talk about their issues in Bryn's apartment.
Yeah.
They're having a work through of kind of what was said and who. The one thing I'll say to you about Bryn is I did do some research on where her money comes from. So in New York, you have to have, when you rent an apartment, you have to, your landlord has to guarantee that you make 40 times your rent.
4D?
Yeah, 40 times your rent. And if you need somebody who's a guarantor of your rent or your mortgage, they need to make 80. So you have to show a New York landlord that you make a certain amount.
Isn't it 3 times your rent in a normal city?
I don't know, Jessica.
40 is astronomical.
I checked ChatGPT. I mean, it could be wrong, but if her bedroom apartment, that Gramercy Park place, is about 5,000 to 6,000, then she would have to make 250 to 300.
Okay.
So I mean, it's good money,
yeah,
for sure, but it's not like she's rolling in it if you did that math. Now, of course, she probably has, brand deals.
Right. Now that she's on the show, she's probably making a lot more, but
incremental payments. But they're really still talking about like the Jeff Lewis of it all. And she went on that Jeff Lewis show Erin went on the Jeff Lewis show and really kind of didn't shut down the money rumors.
Yeah. I just saw someone posting saying, I really don't like this trend that so many franchises right now have what you said on a podcast element. And it's so true. It's like across a lot of them right now. We're getting it in OC as well.
It's two things. It's Jeff Lewis.
Yeah.
Which thank God for Jeff Lewis.
He's messy.
He's creating two storylines right now, OC and New York Housewives. And then he's also, and Watch What Happens Live. Those are like the two gay, messy moos who are like creating storylines.
Yes.
For the shows.
Right. I know. It's hilarious. I would like Jeff to give us a numbers and ratings increase. Since these episodes have aired, how many more people have started listening to Jeff Lewis?
And does he still even have his own show on Bravo? I don't
know. Interesting timing. It was just announced he is getting, it won't be exactly like it was Flipping Out was his show, but it's still going to be like he is still in that home decor renovation space. He is getting a show again. I was like, that's so interesting that he keeps being mentioned.
Right.
Makes me wonder, are they purposely told to bring up Jeff Lewis, that his name is like popping up on Bravo more and more, and he's getting a show?
That's a good
Because clearly his show has been in the works for probably like a year.
Yeah,
this isn't a coincidence that they're announcing it now and going to start filming it. Like, it's going to be airing in the next few months.
Bravo must give the Housewives clearance to go on his show. Like, you can't, don't go on any podcast, don't talk about anything, but Jeff Lewis, we're okay.
Yeah.
Like, you can do that.
And I think Shannon and him are buds, aren't they?
I've seen that too. I agree with you. So the last note on Brynn, just because I was doing this deep dive, apparently she was almost on Vanderpump Rules.
Oh, because she knows Lisa's daughter?
Yes, and she made out with Peter. Jessica.
Who hasn't?
I know. And I don't think he even remembers.
Poor Peter.
I think they asked Peter and he's like, who?
Nuh-uh.
Yes. I don't think he remembered.
He is just like, he is someone like the definition of like just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Like he's still reliving those glory days when he was that like young, hot male model in his 20s. And now he's like 45, still working.
Never made it to full-time cast member.
No, I know.
Made out with everyone.
He got shafted.
So additionally on this episode, Brynn and Erin kind of have this reconciliation moment. Thank God we're done with that. As you said.
Yeah.
We can't bear this anymore.
I know.
This pettiness.
I know.
And then they all go out to Sag Harbor in a helicopter, which again causes drama in itself.
How many backed out of the helicopter?
I would have backed out.
Yeah.
Jessica. That was...
And Brynn was thinking, clearly sponsored. How many times did we see like the name of that helipad they went to, how close it is to the city, how long it took versus driving. Like it was a paid placement for sure.
Right.
But like Brynn was trying to act like it was such a flex, like she got it. And I was kind of like, pretty sure Bravo paid for this.
Right,
and they're getting a cut from this helicopter company.
Well, and I feel like there's been so many helicopter accidents that like to do that in the rain.
It was like a foggy day.
That was
thanks.
Weird. So on the helicopter, I thought one of the big notes was that they start to get into Rebecca Minkoff and her Scientology.
Yeah. They start to, and then it's a nothing. She's giving nothing.
She's giving nothing.
Rebecca Minkoff is a real letdown for me so far.
Well, it seems like later on we're going to get weirdness from her.
She is a weirdo. That story she was telling at dinner once they were there.
Yeah.
I think she's a strange cat.
Right. And she kept her bed that she first lost her virginity in. Like, why would you say that? So I researched her parents because they are very big in the Scientology church. They've donated $5 million, so they're considered like a really powerful family.
Okay.
But her dad has like a lot of like drama, Jessica.
Yeah.
Her dad is David Minkoff, Dr. David Minkoff. He's involved with 2 different lawsuits. One was in 1987, settled. The second one is just now happening. Well, it was 2022, so I think it's still kind of getting resolved. Both of them, basically, he kind of led to a death of a patient.
I was going to say, what kind of doctor?
I don't know what he is, but the first one he prescribed Valium, and he had never met the patient, never like spoken with her, provide Valium, and then she had like deep vein thrombosis, and she basically threw a clot and like died in the hospital. And they think the Valium was like kind of a contributing factor. The second lawsuit was this woman who had like intense mental health problems and was actually being seen by him. And he was kind of pulling the theories of Scientology out to like remedy her health. And she ended up committing suicide because her mental health took over.
So maybe he's a psychiatrist.
Could be.
It's mental health, and then he prescribed Valium.
Yeah. But both he's like very high up in the Scientology church. So they send their members to him to like look after. And then he's like leading to these deaths, you know.
Lord.
I know. I'm like, this is her dad.
Okay. This whole Scientology, I do not super familiar with. But like now I'm like mixing it with Mormon because of all the shows I'm like watching. And obviously like the Mormons have their really strict kind of code of ethics and stuff. But when she was telling that story, that doesn't track with like her being in like a big Scientology family when she was like, my parents told me they'd put me on birth control if I didn't do drugs.
Exactly.
I was like,
I
that
totally
doesn't
agree.
really track with Scientology, but okay, you know, maybe they're more chill about that stuff. I was like, that is so not a Mormon thing. Like,
well, to your point, like we need now, like the Mormonism, we like all are well educated.
Yeah, we know a lot about that now.
We now need the Scientology version, you know what
Which I don't know if I want.
I know.
It seems like a real dark rabbit hole.
Well, and she was very cagey about it, right? Like no comment. Just say no comment. It's like, I don't know if
you're
can get away
on
with
a
that.
reality show. Yeah, even Bryn's like, I don't know if that's really going to work in like an interview.
Yeah, totally.
Bryn, who can't keep her mouth shut, of course, is like, I can't say no comment. That doesn't work.
She's like, I'm a publicist and so is Jessel. It's like, okay.
So we like to talk.
So they get to Sag Harbor. The big thing is that Erin's kitchen has been redone. Not a big thing. Did you, Jessica? It didn't look any different.
They changed the countertop. And it's like, it was white before, and now it's white with like gray in it. I was laughing when they were, and then Jess was like, I don't know what else is different. Was it a big remodel?
I thought that was so funny. I will say poor Erin, she's like under a lot of pressure this time to like.
Did you see how much food was put out? She's like, no one will tell me they are hungry. The platters of like charcuterie boards.
Yeah. And so there's like clearly a lot of pettiness going on, right? Like Erin uses the moment of Raquel not getting in the car with Sai and Uba to like cause more drama.
Yeah.
I'm like, Erin, you're kind of a shade star.
She's a pot stir for sure.
And then Jenna too, I think. Like Jessica, my hot take is Jenna is the secret villain of this season.
Ooh. The clip of her back at Bryn's like dinner or drinks party and her saying to Sai, that one over there.
Yeah.
I know. And then completely, like, I was on side. Normally, I'm not on Sai's side with arguments, but that one I was like, I agree. Jenna was saying it was Bryn. And then she's like, I never pointed the finger at Bryn.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you did.
I think, and then she didn't pay for the Uber, which
So
I still
weird.
lives rent free in my head.
You know, she got that new car as like a flex to shove in their faces. She loves when they're all like, is that a Bentley?
Loves driving on camera.
The amount of times they've shown the price.
I mean,
217,500. It's like a specific number. They like literally put what she paid.
I know. I think she's causing drama in a way that like is a little less obvious than Bryn, but then is kind of, making sure that her hands are clean during all of it.
Yeah. And Jenna still rubs me the wrong way that I guess this whole season is not going to show her relationship.
Again?
And Uba doesn't either.
Oh my God.
People are like, why are we allowing this? That is like half your life.
Right.
Keeping it off. And why do they get to not? You can't be in this role if you won't do that.
Yeah. Uba for sure, because she literally talks about him every minute of every scene. It's her storyline.
I know. And watch now, like Bryn we'll find out Bryn has a man by the end of it. He'll be nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
And it's like, we can't keep doing that.
Right. I agree.
We haven't seen Sai's husband yet either.
Yeah, that's true.
We've only seen Abe and a bit of Pavitt. Right? Are those our two house husbands?
Sai's husband did not come to the last get together.
No.
That's a good hot take.
Starting to see a trend, and I don't like it.
Okay, so then in Sag Harbor, Bryn and Uba.
I want to go back though, the Raquel thing.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts though on someone who claims car sickness that they always need the front seat?
I think it's I think it's true, but should be able to be powered through. You know what I mean? Like, I think you can announce it, but it's like there's medicines.
And also, I agree, a third row situation, not happening. But if it's like a second row bucket seat, I think you should be okay too. Like, you got a window, you can look out. I just think it's so like unfair when people are like, I have to have the front seat. And you're like, oh, okay.
I think because she said she had to drive.
Yeah.
And Sai was like,
and that's why Sai's like, you're not driving my car. Brand new car. I just met you. I agree with that. That would be so strange.
And she doesn't even know her. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So Bryn and Uba get into a massive fight. I think that's kind of the like.
Could you follow it?
No.
I was losing the thread.
Yes. Well, first of all, Uber's got that horrible confessional Kris Kardashian outfit on.
They literally said, if Kris Jenner and Corey Gamble had a baby.
Yes, truly.
It's the blonde bob wig.
It's so bad. And then she's clearly trying to insert herself.
Yeah.
Like, just to what? Be able to come at Bryn?
Remember when I told you the whole long trailer kept talking about pigeons? Here's where Uba starts at calling everyone pigeon. I was like, how many times did she just say pigeon in this argument? Mm-hmm. She clearly has like focused in on that everybody has like a bird brain, and that's where she keeps going. And there is a bit of just communication breakdown where she is not using the right words with like English being a second language. So I was just totally losing what she was
like. Why are we mad?
What point she was trying to get across. And then I kind of felt like her and Erin are really close but she was kind of like, Erin's messy too. Like, she was saying Bryn was the big stir and mixing up people's words and telephone, but then she was also kind of clocking that Erin did it with that car sick story.
I'm like, Uba, you're not the voice of reason. Like, there's a lot of people who can be voices of reason. Heather Gay, Salt Lake City. Emily seems to be for Real Housewives of OC right now.
Yeah.
Uba is not, and it's too hot. I mean, even Sai was like, what are we fighting about?
And that Sai and Uba have a safe word.
Oh my God, what was it again?
Pineapple. She's like, Uba, pineapple. And then she's like, okay. And then everyone's like, what was that?
It's like we talk about Michael Scott's safe word is foliage.
Foliage. Yes. Good office trivia question.
So Real Housewives of NYC. I mean, we got to I think there's something pregnancy seems to be coming down the line. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
It almost seems like it's Rebecca Minkoff.
That's what I was thinking. She's like the only one that it could be. Because they mention a husband. Mm-hmm. So pretty positive it's not Erin and it's not Sai.
Right. And probably not Jessel.
Probably not Jenna.
Not Jenna.
Jenna's a little old and she's lesbian. So a little tough. Yeah.
So maybe that's why they're keeping Rebecca around, because she's got
there must be something coming.
A little drama going
on. I know. Again, I'm like, if that freaking teaser ends up being about a random woman in their friend group we don't even know and they keep using it in promos, I hate when they do that.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so let's go. Anything else on Real Housewives of New York?
No, I think just obviously we're going to continue this Hamptons. I am glad some of the stuff, like we said, has gotten squashed. Like Erin and Bryn are sharing a room. They're clearly over that stupid fight. So let's keep it moving.
Sai and Bryn seem to be repairing. Yeah. That's good news.
But now we've got the Uba. I didn't think Uba and Bryn was going to start so early.
Yeah.
Because we saw clearly, I think it just continues.
Yeah.
We saw the final scene before them filming their intros.
Well, and I think the resentment, I mean, somebody called it out. I'm not like making this up out of thin air, but she's got resentment of Bryn that goes well beyond this. And she's using this moment to just come back.
And I think it goes back to Bryn announcing she has a boyfriend who she now is openly discussing. So how can you still be mad that someone outed it and now you're totally fine talking about it?
Right. I agree with that. You got to move on.
You've got to. I mean, she still won't show him on the show, but she's openly talking about him.
Oliver.
And
we know him.
Oliver. Oh, yes.
No more.
And how much they love each other. Yes.
So we're still in it. I think the most obsessive thing that I have going on with New York is their RH at this point, and I've like fully come to realize that.
Oh yeah, did you catch? They were at dinner. I think Bryn said she's 38.
Yes, Jessica, we're right in the mix.
I was like, this is a little older than us. Just a little.
I think the problem is like when we've watched Real Housewives for the last years and years, they've always
New York have always been like 55 and up. So
and
they're like,
when I get to that age,
yes.
and now it's like
they're like empty nesters. These ones are like still potentially having kids. You're like, oh my God.
I'm like looking at Erin's Instagram, like, how did she get to where she is?
Well, maybe that rapper that you found.
Cottrell Kelly.
Cottrell, there you go.
You heard it here first. All right, let's move on to Salt Lake now.
Yes.
Got a lot to cover. So they're still in Milwaukee when we kind of jump back to where we were.
Yes, yeah, 2 weeks
Good
ago.
old Milwaukee.
Yeah.
They go to the beer caves.
I've never done that. It looked really cool.
It looked really cool. We got to get that done.
Vince was walking through the room and he's like, "You've never taken me there." I was like, "I've never been there."
So the funny part of the beer caves is Mary has what's called the champagne of beer in Milwaukee.
That's their slogan.
That's literally
Miller High Life.
Miller High Life. That's what their slogan is. And Mary does not understand what that means and therefore thinks Miller High Life is, what is it, like a high class beer.
What did she say? It's luxury? It's upscale and regal.
Yeah. And I'm like, Mary, this is what college kids drink. Like it was so funny watching her.
And Heather gave and in her confessional goes, "Can you imagine how much we will be saving Mary if we can get her off the Dom Perignon from whatever year and she drinks Miller High Life?
Yeah.
She'll be saving thousands."
I love that she didn't she didn't put that together because everyone from Milwaukee, anyone who's in the Midwest is like, oh no, honey boo boo, that is not champagne.
I'm also glad she sipped it and liked it because Mary doesn't give a fuck. Like if she took it and was like, I was like, oh, that's going to be really bad for Miller High Life.
Yeah. And then we also in the beer caves first get the Heather divulges to Whitney that Prism is not legitimate.
Yes, that there are murmurs.
Okay, so we need to talk about this for a second. So Whitney says that she buys from curated vendors, so she does not design her own jewelry.
Yes,
we thought about that last time.
Yeah,
the vendors could be buying it off of Alibaba. Jess.
That's true. How much is she vetting her curated vendors?
And that's like, and she's like, that's called commerce. I kind of agree with her. It's like, I don't think she's ever said these are one of a kind designs,
right?
That are super specific to each person who wants to buy it. It's like, no, she's a upscale Claire's. I looked at those prices. They're like 80 to like 250.
And I bet they're like not even real metals. You know what I mean? They're like gold plated.
Right. But here's the thing. Nobody faults her for that.
Right.
So this idea that you have to go back and say like, well, we didn't get that from Alibaba. It's like.
But what's really damning is that those photos, they're identical.
Right.
So where's the mix up? Where's the mess up? Is it someone on her Prism team that is too lazy to get a photographer to reshoot some of the stuff? And they are literally Googling it and being like, oh, there's already an image.
Yeah, right.
They are identical. Or someone did say, what if Alibaba is copying whoever they are curating it from? Because, I mean, let's not act like those companies don't do that all the time.
Right.
They're constantly getting sued for trademark infringements.
I agree.
So it is like, which came first? We need to figure out which
and I want to make one point. So this is jumping way ahead, but Lisa Barlow throws away the Prism jewelry that Whitney gave her, which is so awkward, right? Like just super.
The guy from the hotel. Oh, we found one of your guests left something in her room. It was in the trash can, but it was your Prism necklace.
Yeah, that guy was shady. He knew exactly what the assignment was. He called Whitney.
Love it.
Love it all. Yeah. That's very Milwaukee. Like they come. They come when you need them to.
Yeah.
Okay, but one thing I want to say is like after looking up this price and then the Alibaba of it all, like I would throw it probably away too if I was Lisa, who wears 40K, 80K, whatever it is, rings. Jessica, that was, you're not gifting me a $200 necklace when I wear diamonds.
But they all know the game. They know that the show is to promote, like we've discussed, Bravo gets a cut. The more you talk about your company or whatever. Lisa Barlow is well aware, the amount she talks about Vita Tequila, she's well aware that they have to siphon some over to Bravo because they get to do their product placement. So she has to know this is Whitney doing her product placement. I don't know, save it and regift it. I mean, again, I guess Lisa Barlow's just so rich that a $200
necklace
to her is like costume jewelry.
But if she sees it in Alibaba and then it's $200 or, some of that stuff is $80, right? Yeah. That's gumball machine for Lisa.
I suppose.
But that point when I thought Whitney was taking a little too far on that piece. Anyway, so let's go back. So Harley Davidson.
Oh, yeah. I haven't been there either.
Haven't been to that one.
Harley Davidson Museum.
The museum.
Yeah.
You know, it's a small city when the owner of the museum is coming to say hi to you guys.
And Whitney was like acting like she was like bowing down to him because he was part of the actual like family that created the motorcycles.
Right. I mean, Harley Davidson is a big thing in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah. I know people have gotten married. That's a wedding venue.
Wedding venue, right. Yeah. So it's kind of a big thing, but I mean, it's just funny to see the housewives going to it, right?
Yes. And that was quite the fight we got with Angie and Lisa.
Yeah. So the chair fell over. Did you catch that?
Angie kicked it. It didn't fall over. She did like a kickback, and everyone was like, what just? It was like a horse, like just randomly like kicking you back.
Who's it like the one random one? I can't remember her name.
Oh, Maylee.
She picks it up.
She's like, I'll just get that back.
So I heard something funny on this that I wanted to tell you about. Apparently Bravo a couple of years ago like just started allowing people to throw drinks. Yeah,
it's allowed.
It's now allowed. Like versus before it maybe wasn't. So Lisa throws the drink, Angie kicks the chair. We see a lot more drink throwing. And I heard this randomly. I forget where. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much more sense. They're throwing drinks.
That was a huge thing on New Jersey. Danielle kind of threw the drink at Jen Aiden.
Yes. I was laughing so hard. So Angie kind of probably knows this and like does this dramatic like kick of the chair.
Okay, Bravo needs to be careful, though, because I've seen some of those fan accounts saying, do you want more, like, physical altercations?
Right.
Everyone was like, no.
Right.
This isn't Bad Girls Club. Like, I don't need these housewives pulling each other's hair. Like, this needs to be real life, and people don't just start brawling each other over the table with a group of friends. So, like, they need to be careful, because a drink throw will lead to some, with their temper, that will lead to physical.
And liability, right? Like somebody throws a drink and then someone gets hurt. Like all of a sudden we're reviewing footage to like figure out who touched who when.
I know. Bravo needs to be careful. I think they have enough lawsuits going.
I could be wrong about that, but I did hear that.
But there has been a real uptick.
Yes.
Or just everyone can't control their temper and more people are throwing drinks.
They want the iconic Truth or Judice table flip.
Right. Which, I mean,
no one can repeat.
That was authentic and legit. She was not thinking about how long that would last.
Right. Okay, so Lisa and Angie have a standoff. One thing I wanted to point out during this Harley Davidson dinner that I think is really relevant is, so when Whitney is talking to Meredith and trying to admonish Meredith around spreading the lies with her jewelry line, Lisa pipes in and goes, oh, I actually started this. I think it was me. It was like Jessica, it was so small, but Lisa like tries to like take blame, and then Whitney gets mad at Meredith and says like, don't pull other people into this.
Yes. And then the very next episode,
Whitney's like, oh, it's Lisa.
I'm directing it at the wrong person.
No, she actually admitted that.
I did not catch she said it.
I know.
At the Harley
I caught it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she just admitted it. Now Whitney's taking this storyline and running with it, that it was Lisa. I mean, I hope that Lisa is smart enough to just go, I said that. I've already admitted this. Like,
but she's not going to, I don't think by any means she's going to admit to like I think she's going to say she thinks like that's happening with the Alibaba, but that one random guy that calls Whitney and goes, it's a friend who has a tequila, or not a tequila, like a liquor line. It was something like they were feeding stuff to bloggers again. I don't think she's going to ever admit to doing that. She's going to just say, I saw it online and said it to Meredith. Whitney's going to accuse her of like fully starting it.
The rumor.
Yeah.
Well, can we talk about that phone call though really quick from that podcast? Adam? That was like, Jessica, you know that game Guess Who where you like flip down the things?
You can ask me questions.
Is she wearing a yellow hat? Like it was like, does she have
I was cracking up that every single question was about what kind of business do they own? Does she have a jewelry line? Meredith, no. Does she have a healthcare spa? Heather, no. Does she have a liquor line? Yes.
That was pretty smart that he chose businesses though, because I would have been like, does she have brown hair? And then it would have been like, oh.
I would have probably done like kids.
Right.
Does she have 2 sons? That's Lisa. Does she have 3 daughters? That's Heather, you know?
Or why wouldn't he just say the name? Is it Meredith? I mean.
I guess. That truly is just ask me a question.
It was just so funny how it kind of came out. Okay, the last thing I want to say at Harley Davidson, though, is Brittany. Unhinged Brittany, again, makes a toast about how her and Jared are broken up. So she's made 2 toasts this entire season, both of them about her and Jared Osmond.
She's too much.
She's too much. By the way, I walked down that Osmond lane. Do you remember that? On Google Maps.
Wait, you've like been on it?
No, just on Google Maps.
Oh, I thought you were like saying you were there in Salt Lake City.
No. I walked down it on Google Maps.
Yeah.
It's one street.
Yeah.
It looks like the houses look like sorority houses. You know, like Greek Row, how big they are.
Yeah.
So it's huge. I mean, it looks lovely.
Right.
But I did walk down it. I feel really good about that because it's like
took a little
highbrow.
stroll. Someone said, and I cannot unsee it. Someone said Brittany looks like a contestant on Rock of Love.
Yes, I totally agree. Totally agree with
Totally
that.
does, especially when she was in her like Harley kind of leather like rock and roll chick getup. I was like, oh my gosh,
yes,
she does.
I totally agree.
But the biggest thing I think was the Lisa Angie fight at that dinner.
Mm-hmm.
When Lisa brought up her daughter, I think she instantly knew she shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine Lisa like going, you don't bring up my sons? She said it, and then Angie freaked out, and Lisa was kind of like, oh God, why did I bring that up?
I agree. I think, though, she was trying to say it not to take blame on Elektra, but the fact that Angie uses that to get Lisa to stop talking.
I know, but it's still...
It felt more peripheral to me.
I know, but it's still not a good... Like, you're...
To bring it up.
You're trying to claim you're using your child as an excuse. Just say, you always rush me off the phone.
Right.
Don't mention that she says, I need... Which, by the way, I forgot Angie's daughter's name was Elektra.
I know. I was like, who is this? Who are we talking about?
I was like, who's Elektra? I was like, oh, her daughter.
Okay, the last couple things. So, hot dog look. Browan's hot dog look.
Costume.
By the way, that's 5K. I looked that up.
I know.
And it was from Moschino.
Oh yeah, Moschino. I never know how to say that.
By the way, they came out with a fast food line, and that was part of it. It wasn't like they were showing that as like fashion for fall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They specifically came out with a line of fast food. There's like a burger, sweater. So I think
so stupid.
If this is fashion, we don't want it.
Mary, who was part of the first convo, even went, Bronwyn, that's costume. Like, it had the hat that was like the squeeze top. Did you know? Like, it was the full hot dog and then it had a hat. It's ridiculous.
Not for life.
Ridiculous.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about Jared Osmond. So he shows his face on camera this time, which is great.
I didn't think we were actually going to ever see him.
No, I thought he would think of himself as too high profile to be on the show.
Right.
So he and Brittany break up, and then he sends her like flowers and a unicorn
pillow
stuffed
thing?
animals type thing. And she gets this note from him.
Yeah.
Jessica, I stopped that.
Oh, so you could read the note?
Oh, yeah.
What?
I copied it down for you.
Oh, my gosh.
It says, you are a unicorn, hence the unicorn animal. I love you and thought 4 dozen roses would be nice to come home to. I understand from a credible source that your new, he wrote in quotes, friends helped you come to the decision to dump me. How sad. I've been with you and loved you through all of the hard things. You know, I have been through so much together and come out better humans. That's the price I may pay for dating a, quotes again, real housewife. Our private life isn't private anymore. You told me we could get through anything. I thought that was true. Jessica, Brittany literally says, what a lovely note. That's like a rude note. Like if my husband wrote that note to me, I'd be like, we're talking about this.
These are fighting words.
Yes. The quotes. He uses the quotes on purpose on Friends and Real Housewife.
That note completely contradicts when I said, did you see he was DMing some of those accounts? Being like, I need to set the record straight. I only agreed to appear on the show as Brittany's friend to make her relevant. He is still trying to say we were only friends. That note, clearly not.
Yeah, but it's also not a nice note.
No, it's not. But like he's admitting there's way more to their relationship than being friends and that he was just letting her use him for clout to get on the show.
Yeah, right. He claims she used him. I feel like he's also using her. Like he seems so toxic. That's my bottom line with him. When he finally comes on camera and they have that conversation. Yeah. I felt like he got so nervous so quickly when she started fighting back to him. Like, he was like, no.
Yeah.
You know, like,
that's not how I'm going to look.
Right. He's like, that's not how I want this conversation to play out.
Was, I think one of the cringiest moments, I honestly might say, on all of Real Housewives was in that dinner.
What?
When she did that hand heart.
Oh, we're best friends.
She's like, you're my best friend. I was like, I'm going to die. Like this. I swear to God, that was honestly one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen on the show.
I agree. And she's giving to me Sheena. Remember when Sheena used an entire Vanderpump season to talk about how Adam and her were best friends?
Oh, yeah. And didn't she get she like named a penguin after him?
Yes.
She did a lot.
She was looking really weird. Let me just be really clear. When you're dating someone, they are inherently your best friend. You don't have to then say it.
Right. I've told you that story with Vince.
Yes.
We were talking about best friends, and I was like, am I yours? And he said, by default. So you just said.
But seriously, my husband says it all the time.
Don't love the by default answer, but okay.
Okay, so let's see. So a little more on Jared. So Brittany's mad at Lisa because she gets on the phone with Jared. I think that's... What did you think about it?
Well, Brittany's entire relationship with how many times they've broken up is juvenile, and letting your friend text, and I did that in college when it was like someone you didn't care about and you just like let your roommates have your phone.
Yeah.
She is a 45-year-old woman and she's letting people text her boyfriend from her phone. It is so juvenile.
I agree, but I think that Lisa is on the money with this.
Yeah, she's right too, though.
Yeah.
Lisa is trying to help Brittany. Because Brittany will not leave the relationship herself. So she's almost like, how about I just crash and burn it for you?
Yes.
To get you out of it.
But I think to get on the FaceTime, clearly Jared's ego is very...
Fragile.
And to get on the FaceTime and sing a song about best friends, I'm like, oh my God, Lisa.
Why did they cut that? They said it was when they were on the bus. I know they had cameras. Why did we miss the sing song on the bus?
I know. The biggest red flag of him is that she has said thus far in my mind is that he won't get off the dating apps too.
Yeah, she just slipped that in there.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, we've seen a lot of shady men on this season. He's creeping to the top in my mind.
Yeah.
Just based off of his manipulation and gaslighting, and then he's kind of public. So he kind of knows how this stuff should go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Dare I say I think he's worse than John Jansen.
I agree, Jessica. Hot take.
But I think he is.
John Jansen appears halfway through the season because he can't take it anymore. Jared's like trying to craft the narrative from the beginning.
And as far as we know, John Jansen was faithful to Shannon. As far as we know.
Right.
There weren't rumors of that, but the fact that this Jared is like on dating apps, it's like, okay.
Okay, so little small mention, Robert and Mary. Robert Jr.
Yes, I was going to say.
Robert Jr. is high on camera.
Yes.
His eyes are closing.
He can barely keep them open.
Yes.
Yeah.
And did you see he went to rehab?
Yes.
I feel like some small part of me thinks that we broke that story last time because people had like forgotten that he had posted a bunch of drug shots. And then now he's in rehab.
That somehow got to Mary. And Mary looked in his room and found, I think it said meth.
Oh, really? I saw fentanyl, cocaine, and THC.
Oh, okay. It was like intense. We're not talking
fentanyl is intense.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
We're not talking he was just smoking weed.
No.
Yeah. Like it was bad.
He's on hard substances.
Yeah.
And you can tell she knows in that moment.
Because she made the comment when he like literally was like, can I have some money?
Yeah.
And she's like, and for what purposes?
Right.
Only if it's for...
Right.
And it's like also how easy for him to constantly say for food. I'd be like, oh, okay, well, we have an Uber account. Order Uber Eats.
Right.
And it's going to food. He's not ordering cocaine through Uber Eats as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, that poor guy. And I mean, so he's just in rehab now, by the way.
Yeah, like it's current right now. Mm-hmm. So it took a while. Maybe seeing some stuff back. I'm guessing more happens later in the season. Maybe the Mary gets to like preview some of the stuff. So like maybe it all was kind of hitting home watching it back.
Yeah, right. I feel bad for her though in that moment. I think that it's like she knows, it's obvious. She's trying the love route. It's not working.
Right. I know.
Anyway.
But yeah, I do, like I said, I need her to get off her high horse though.
Yeah. on everybody else.
Yeah. If she for a second mentions anyone's parenting her kid,
right,
I'll lose it, because I would give that other person free reign to go in on her about Robert Jr. I'm sorry, you cannot. And again, she might not, but just like if she goes that route, not cool.
Yeah. Speaking of kids, so then another big part was Bronwyn and Gwen, the conversation between.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Them. I thought that was well done. She's getting a lot of brownie points for that.
Yeah.
People are like really viewing her. It like shot her up in kind of everyone's mind.
She was on Watch What Happens Live, and yeah, she was getting so many kudos. I saw so many things online saying that honestly might have been the most real interaction I've ever seen on any show. Like what they discussed and how mature her daughter was about it.
I did think her face looked a little different on Watch What Happens Live than what it looks like now. Like something was going on with the filler. She looked a little different. I'm like, this is...
You're good at noticing those. They all just
and she admitted to the nose job, so she clearly plays with her face. I don't feel bad about saying that, but it looked a little different. I just was like, oh, this is Bronwyn? And that family's going to regret those grandparents are going to regret this.
It for sure plays out more, because Andy even said, I want to ask, but I know. And Bronwyn's like, you will see it. And then even on Watch What Happens Live, like she's so, I guess you could say it's a little bit that she's like thinking of how this is going to come across. But I appreciated where she goes, I feel really gross, like teasing my daughter's real life, but like you are going to see what happened. Like just the fact that she was kind of,
so self-aware.
Can you imagine Tamara will be like, oh, you're going to see what happens with my son, Brian. Like, like she will use it as a hook. And even Bronwyn's like, ooh, I felt like gross saying that. But like, yes, no, just for people that are wondering, you're going to see what happens. She had like I wrote it like down. I replayed it to like type it out word for word, where she said, Bronwyn was saying Gwen is the only one who didn't make any choices, but she is the one who feels the weight of all the choices everyone else made for her. It's like, damn. I literally was like, that was like heavy and so accurate.
And not what we're used to on Real Housewives. It was a good learning lesson for everybody, I feel like, watching.
I know. Yeah.
The last piece of this kind of Salt Lake City is the zip lining. I didn't think there's a lot that went on there, Jess, but...
Can Heather wipe the mud off her
Jessica,
face?
I was going to say that. It looked like why did no one help her?
Yeah, she looked like she'd been in a fight. Like, she looked bruised. And then she had, like, some, like, up on her cheek. Or
I'm like, why did it...
She was eating and drinking after. How did she not feel that? It was, like, covering her full bottom lip.
It was so annoying to watch that.
I know.
I totally agree. I'm like, why can't no one tell her to get the mud off her lip?
Mary, of all people, I think, would be like, you need to, like, dab a little here. You got something.
Right, I know. And then also very funny, I thought Mary truly did not remember where she met Heather Gay's daughter, Georgia.
Oh, yeah. She blew the wind. The wind blew her to me.
And it was like, you don't remember meeting her? You don't know where you met her?
Lisa's like, what do you mean, the wind? And Mary's like, I already explained. The wind. It's like, you were at a dance class. Why is that so hard to say?
I don't think she even like said hi to her at the dance class. So I don't think she
I don't know if she, Angie went up and hugged. I don't think she knew that was Heather's daughter.
Yeah, agreed. Jessica, I'm fully tracking with you. It was so weird.
Also, Mary fully did not know what tailgating was.
Yeah, I know.
She's like, why are we eating behind the car here? Why? And they were like, Mary, have you ever tailgated? She's like, is that when you grill? Like, she thought it was a cookout.
Yeah, right.
She's like, is that when we grill ribs? It's like,
I actually appreciate too that Mary and Heather kind of go at it. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of one of those elephants in the room that the body stuff between Mary and Heather has always been a thing. And then she kind of, which is true, Heather has lied to cover for people a lot.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy we're finally talking about that
I know.
a little bit.
Mary's the only one that will say it. As much as she annoys me.
Yeah.
She will put it out there.
Anything else on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City?
No, but I'm loving it. I mean, it's firing on all cylinders. And like, we're going to get the Whitney Lisa. Oh, speaking of though, Meredith. Hardly in the last episode.
Oh, right. Yeah. Poor Meredith.
People were posting her like in a confessional being like, let's start saying our goodbyes now. Like she's already being written out. Like you said, she's grasping at straws to have her bat mitzvah
we see the glimpse of it. It was the most boring part of the entire episode.
That was her only scene.
Right. Oh my gosh, Jessica. Yeah,
right?
That's bad.
She wasn't in it at all.
No. She's not getting invited to things.
If Brittany's getting more airtime than you.
Oh my God.
Just see yourself out.
You got to recalibrate. You're totally right.
Yeah. She's done.
Okay, so let's go to OC.
OC.
All right, so they go to London. This is clearly their big trip.
Yeah.
You and I have been to London a lot. It's not.
I love seeing it. Yeah.
But it's not their vibe at all, right? It's like rainy and a little gross. Shannon starts off and gives the scarves.
Yes, but my biggest gripe too, it's more so in this most recent episode. God, the way that and it's kind of across the housewives, and I'm sure there's kind of a reason where they need to capture the filming, the interactions. The amount, like, they go to a hotel. They are in the hotel so much. They do one little activity. They come back to the hotel to get glam. They go to one restaurant, and then they're back. It's like they don't explore these cities at all.
No.
The one, they were, like, all enjoying the spas I'm like, oh, my God, I don't want to see the spa at this fancy hotel. Like, go out and about. It must be because of lugging cameras and getting filming permission. So I'm sure it's not their choice that, like, that's how they want to spend their vacation. But I wanted to see more of London.
I agree. There's a lot more to London. Okay, but so they first touched down, and Shannon's giving the $600 scarves.
A Burberry scarf, very nice gift.
I mean, that's $1,500. I did the math.
Yeah, for how many she had to
For
give.
how many they have to pay. Shannon has a problem going on right now.
Yeah.
We're, like, starting to see it, right? With the Jeff Lewis podcast where she talks about it. She talks about the promissory note. I mean, it's a loan. Let's just call it.
Her lawyer must have freaked when she said that. And she completely backtracks when the women are like, and Emily, investigative, interrogative Emily is like, no, but you just said it was a loan. And Shannon's like, no, I didn't. I didn't agree to it. But, like, the fact you're admitting that after he gave you the money, a few days later, he right away was like, I think there should be a promissory. And she goes, and I exploded on him about it. So I get that you didn't sign it, but then to act completely blindsided that he thought he was owed that money back.
Yeah.
No, you kind of did have discussions at the time it all happened. She's really glossing over that.
It's a weird moment because both her and Alexis are getting now called out where people are like, oh my gosh. Like,
not being so truthful with exactly what happened. Yeah.
Also, Shannon in the Jeff Lewis podcast, first of all, her voice sounds like a sex operator on that podcast, the glimpse we hear. But she also acts like she's been breaking down constantly this season, which I do think is a factor of that Ozempic.
Yeah.
Which we've heard.
Excessive crying.
Yes, excessive crying. But she clearly acts like stronger depending on who she's talking to.
Yes.
Which I think is a little manipulative.
Yeah.
Like Heather says it, like you brought that thing up on camera.
Yeah.
So you can manipulate me.
Right. And saying, please don't speak about this. Then you go on a podcast and speak about it. So I then mention it to the group thinking it's fair game. And you burst into tears that it was private. It's like you don't get it both ways.
Right. I think the other thing, too, is that I thought it was so funny. Shannon gets up now every conversation that gets hard.
Every single one. And then it's like, I'm going to the bathroom. But I think she like actually is thinking she's leaving. And then everyone's like, don't go. And she's like, I'm just going to the bathroom. It's her cover. Like, oh, I was just going to the restroom.
I think every dinner that we've seen that Shannon and Tamara have gone into it, Shannon has left.
Were you dying when she truly was storming out and she was behind a wall that were just these like bars? So they show the table still talking about her and she's waiting for the elevator and she can talk through the bars back to the table. Like, I can still hear you. It was just one of those like classic, like Real Housewives gold.
Yeah.
Did they honestly not see Shannon literally pushing the buttons to get the elevator to come and she can hear everything you're still saying?
Well, and Tamara says, and she's running to the bar for a drink. And then she actually does that.
Of a Belvedere soda.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then she pulls out the smoking gun, which is the Alexis tax.
Yep.
It's like nobody has their house clean right now.
No.
This is all just, thank God she's got the receipts. That big ass font on her phone.
Literally, Shannon, they were like laughing. Shannon has discovered you can search your text messages. She just figured out you can look for keywords.
Yeah.
Because then she brought up the thing to Jen. I knew Tamra told me she got a background check on your boyfriend. It was from 2018, but like I still have it. She must have a lot of memory on there. She hasn't deleted a single text thread in over 4 or 5 years.
I'm like, can we get access to that phone? That phone's got a lot of secrets in it, clearly.
I want to see the John Jansen thread.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would pay money for that. Okay, so Tamra also is like doing the most this episode. I feel like she's talking about Shannon and how much she spends money.
Yeah.
She's talking about Jen dropping the FBI every chance she can get. It's like word vomit. She's like, what do I talk about? FBI.
And did you notice when Katie was with her kind of relaxing in the spa? Again, not going anywhere and just sitting in the hotel. But Katie's like, yeah, we got to talk about what was your FBI comment at my dinner party? And Tamara's like, we shouldn't talk about that. But okay, so there's just a lot. I'm like, oh, Tamara, you love it. Don't act like.
She's talking about Jen and the dress, the Dolce & Gabbana $2,000 dress.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, so we have to talk about this. Tamara in the Bravo and the headlines recently has come out and said that she was on the spectrum. She's on the spectrum, right?
So my thoughts on that. I don't want to discredit anyone who because again, people are comparing it to a Brooks.
Oh, wow.
That Vicky is now saying you know what? You questioned his and you're saying he did that for sympathy. I think you're coming out with this for sympathy. The timing is a little too convenient. But the one thing that really made my radar go up that I was like, this is bogus. Tamra said, I did not go fully into it, but it was when she announced it with Teddy on their podcast. Tamra said, I was talking to my therapist that I've had for years. And then that same therapist goes, I think you're I'm like, so you've had the same therapist for years? And the therapist is just now letting you know that you meet a lot of criteria and probably are on the spectrum. If it had been Tamra had said, I just started a new therapist.
Right.
I've been trying to work on myself since this season. And then this has come up. I would think it's more legitimate. The same woman you've been talking to for years just now decided to tell you. That's where I'm like, no.
Yeah, it seems really convenient and not above Tamra to potentially pursue something like this. I also think she was saying, well, I'm on the spectrum and therefore I can't process empathy or I'm not. And it's those are things, regardless if you're on the spectrum, that we know about you. You need to work on empathy for others.
Yes. Little empathy for others.
So it's kind of like you're using this diagnosis to say you need to go work on yourself. I think you could have said, I need to go work on myself, with or without the diagnosis.
Yeah. And then a lot of people were coming for her for, I guess, kind of how she explained that they got to this diagnosis. People being like, you've just oversimplified, that doesn't get just determined that quickly. And then she was like, well, we're still talking about it. So I think she's coming out way too soon to claim. I think the therapist maybe in passing made a comment and she's running with it and was like, that'll help me. She knows every poll, everything I see online is how cruel and horrible Tamra is this season. Yeah. She is doing whatever she can to get empathy, ironically.
Right.
She's looking for it from others.
Agree. And I think what's going to be interesting is to see how Heather reacts in the reunion, because Heather always wants to be on the right side of everything. Yeah. She and Tamara are the mean girls, and they're talking about everybody. It's very obvious. The group is revolting. They've sussed out the traitors, and now they know who to point their energies to. At the reunion, it's going to be really interesting to see, does Heather defend Tamara or does she turn on Tamara as well?
Whatever her PR person tells her to is what Heather will be doing at the reunion. She will be getting guidance on that for sure.
Sure. I totally agree.
But then I think the biggest thing is the Jen Tamra blow up at the end of that episode.
Yeah. I mean, they have the dinner and they're kind of, I think Heather and Gina have spurts of problem. And then really the culmination is that Shannon again pulls up.
It's Shannon with a text receipt that she has just discovered. She searched background check and up popped Tamra's text.
Her phone of secrets shows that. I think Jen is still too nice to Tamra, even in this moment.
Ooh, she went hard. But I guess we're all she went hard for Jen. It's a different level.
Yeah.
She went easy if this was on a Tamra scale of what she said.
Yes.
Because Tamra would go off the rails. Something interesting someone said too was that if you notice, like none of the women on the OC ever bring up Tamra's situation with her kids. Ryan kind of, again, that was part of the whole podcast, and did he defend it enough? Whatever. But nobody brings it up, and they were like, because all the women realize it is too low and below the belt, and they're like, you better believe if the shoe was on the other foot, it'd be the first thing Tamra brought up to any of her castmates about their children.
Agreed.
And it's so, like, no one uses against her because, like Jen said, like, she's like, I will always be a better person than you. It's accurate.
I mean, Jen's having, like, a shockingly good season.
Yes, she is.
She had a line that said, Tamra has used our lives to make hers relevant because she's nothing else going on. And I was like, dang.
And she had a good one when Heather's just sitting there, like, shell-shocked, like, witnessing the fight. She goes, Heather, she's only your friend because she's in front of you right now. It's like, oh, damn. Like, to just be like, Tamra will talk about you the second you are out the room and throw you under the bus.
So funny. And I think the one thing that I also wrote down, which is very small, but Tamra is continuously trying to suggest that she and Eddie have multi-million-dollar businesses. I'm like, then go get off of this show and go do your multi-million-dollar businesses because you do not.
Which, funny enough, she doesn't promote them.
Right.
She does not promote. I mean, it's a cannabis line. I don't think these are really the target women. They don't strike me as the ones using it.
You're an investor. Maybe you could say you're an investor.
Yeah.
In a multi-million-dollar business, but you're not running it.
Yeah, I know.
I just think
people come to them with the ideas and they stamp their name on, give their $60,000 investment.
Right. And we saw the Cut Fitness when that went down. That was a big deal for them. Yeah. If they were multimillionaires in other businesses, like you wouldn't care so much that Cut Fitness hit the rocks.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna see what I can find. That'll be my homework.
I'm
gonna see which her cannabis line, and what is even the other one? Is it like a
I don't know
health supplement thing?
Jessica,
I actually don't even know what the other company does. But that's what's interesting. She does not promote them, which also, like you just said, I think leads me to believe they are so less involved in them that they aren't really able to be the spokespeople for it. Or those the true owners, investors are like, not the avenue we want you to be promoting on Real Housewives of OC. So thank you very much. We will not take that advertising opportunity.
Also, maybe they don't want to give up to Bravo.
Yeah, that too. But okay, I'm looking into that. We got to figure out if it won't be a public company. I was going to say, can I like look at their revenue sheets?
Anything else on OC?
No, but one thing everyone is wondering, and I'm wondering too, why are Tamra and Heather so Team Alexis? It's weird. Tamra, everyone's saying, just wanted anything to like go at Shannon, so she's just sided. Why is Heather sitting on that side of the fence?
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
I don't either. The only thing I can think of is that Shannon does cry a lot. Like, literally, like, Jessica, if we had a friend who was crying at every drop of the, hat about...
But Alexis is cuckoo.
Right. Agreed. It's like, you're not backing a hero.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, that one.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, it can't be... I think it's just... To me, it's how the wind is blowing. They're not realizing in the moment that, this is a little bit not the right side of history to be on, to use Heather's term. Okay, so before we go to what the kids are talking about these days, let's just touch on Potomac quickly. Potomac is good, I think. It's got a...
Were you from the start?
I've watched and then stopped and then watched and then stopped.
Okay, I was late to it. I think I started watching it when season 3 or 4 was coming out, and then I went back and completely binged to like catch up.
Wow,
and it's so good. That's one I always tell people, and a lot don't watch it.
I know.
It's a great one.
The one thing I'll say, just from a business model standpoint, is that on Potomac, they have a lot of friend ofs this season. And then you can clearly see it's like they picked and chose who then would be in the final lineup. Because you only get paid if you're friend of, depending on how many episodes you're in.
Oh, okay.
So they have Jacqueline,
yep,
Mia's friend of, but she doesn't have a cup. Jazzy, who is like the random new person.
Yeah.
Stacy.
She becomes.
And then...
Sorry, is she just friend of?
Yes.
No, she has an intro.
But Jessica, I think they start as friend of, and then if they actually have a major part
They get elevated.
They get
too.
elevated.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say she's in the intro thing.
No,
Okay.
she's fully
yeah,
in it.
Yeah.
And then Kay,
Yep.
who clearly does not film with them from the beginning, right? She
But
gets
comes
brought in
later.
That's why I think I think Potomac's doing the right thing, where they're trying to basically suss out who's worthy of the intro spot.
Yep.
So they bring in all these friend ofs to try and like juice up the cast.
Yeah.
And some of them are making and some of them aren't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so I think it's going to be good because of it. But the big thing that I think is so funny is we have another DUI from Karen. We have Shannon with the DUI and Karen with the DUI. And I will say it's being handled a lot differently on this season. Like, people are backing Karen in a way that nobody is back Shannon, you know?
Yeah. And mind you, that was Shannon's first. This is Karen's second DUI. Even all the more reason to not back her.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, if we're really going to like weigh DUI severities, Karen sounds way worse.
Yeah, right.
Shannon like spun out really quickly, angrily leaving a driveway and then quickly hit something. Okay, great. I guess if she had been calmly leaving, she would have maybe hit something later. But like Karen was fully driving, like weaving all over these back roads, trying to get home, crashes into a tree. And I just read had beer cans in her car.
Oh, God.
She was actively drinking.
Oh, God.
While coming home from a late night dinner. Like, it's worse than Shannon.
Jessica, she keeps saying like, oh, the truth will come out. It's like, what truth? There's no,
well, did you see the headline? Her lawyers were trying to completely dismiss it because they claimed she wasn't read her Miranda rights initially.
Oh.
And a judge dismissed it and said, nope, this is still going ahead because of, it was all, I did not fully follow. But there was something like paramedics arrived and were asking her things to suss out the situation. And they're claiming then like she started talking about what happened and that's being used against her to a paramedic. It's like, paramedics don't read you your Miranda rights. They're trying to make sure you don't have like a traumatic head injury and like are trying to see if you're like coherent enough. So there was some weird confusion, but a judge was like, nope, this is going ahead.
Oh, wow.
So her little like, I think she was hoping it was going to get thrown out because of that. And it's not.
I feel really, I mean, that's, I don't feel bad for her, but I feel bad that she thinks it's going to get thrown out and then she's actually potentially like fighting for her life not to go to jail. Or do probation. I don't think she's going to go to jail,
She's
right?
not going to go to jail.
No,
she's going to lose her license for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Community service and be on probation.
Right, right.
But it's her second offense. They come at you harder. Shannon for sure got probation, losing license.
Right. And she's old enough now where she doesn't have kids to be taken away from her or anything like that.
Right.
So...
not the Gina situation.
Yeah, no Gina situation. I think, too, the other thing I'll say about Potomac is that Giselle is losing Robin, losing Candace, losing NECA. NECA, who was never a player to begin with.
She was a one and done.
It feels a lot better. It feels a lot lighter.
Yeah.
Like, with no Robin, Giselle is actually, like, talking to people, making friends with people. Has to.
I mean, she had a sit down with Wendy.
Yeah.
I mean, hell has frozen over.
Right.
So
first time in any last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
They made more progress in a 30-minute conversation than they did in the last years.
And it just shows, and like, God, if you were a housewife, Andy could not be more clear that he wants resolution.
Yeah.
He gets so annoyed when these grudges last forever. How it has continued on New Jersey and been allowed, but clearly this is the year that's getting the shakeup. Mm-hmm. He hates when housewives will refuse to film or discuss, like talk.
Right.
So Giselle was like, okay, I can't keep saying I just don't speak to Wendy anymore.
Right. And I do think it's because the removal of Robin.
Yeah.
Although Robin, you would think would still be around. Like, she was not at the GNA event.
Yeah, true.
You'd think she'd still be around. If
I think she was. That's true. But I think she's so bitter. She's like, I'm not coming to anything that the cameras. I don't even want to be in the background.
Right. And we'd probably ask her about her husband anyway. What was his name again?
Juan.
Oh, yeah.
Juan
Always
Dixon.
doing like the weirdest stuff in the background.
I was only paying for this random lady's hotel room because she told me she lost her wallet. Okay, Juan. That sounds
it was not a good storyline for him. The last thing too is Mia and Gordon on Potomac. They're so messy. They're talking about paternity tests on camera.
So, okay, normally I'm in the camp of like leave the kids out of it. Mia has fully brought her kid into it. And I don't disagree with Giselle and Karen saying, is this really what you want to be doing?
Right.
Your son is like 8 or 9. And you are fully putting it out there that we're not sure who his dad is.
It's so crazy.
Horrible.
So a couple things about Mia and Gordon, just to clear the air on this. So first of all, they haven't had an open relationship. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not.
Yeah.
Where he was allowing her to sleep with anybody.
Yeah, that's kind of all been coming out now, after the like end of last
And she had an
season.
affair shortly after they got married with Ink.
Yeah. He was like a boyfriend before she even knew Gordon.
For
so
10
she's
years.
like, I went back to like a long, love from years.
Yeah. So,
before.
I mean, maybe this messiness then is just like the cherry on top of what we already knew with them.
Yeah.
But it still seems so messy. And Mia's always so unemotional about it. Like, yeah, we will do a paternity test. And it's like, you realize you're on national TV, right?
I know.
Anyway, so there's more to
Yeah.
come there for sure. But to me, that's dirty laundry. And Wendy says it best, right? I cannot relate to that. I cannot relate to anything that she is going on because it's never been that weird for me. Potomac's good though. It's off to a good start. I think it feels fresher this season.
Yeah. So, sometimes I am hesitant with those shakeups. And then once it gets into it, you're like, oh, that was for the best.
Yeah.
I wasn't sad about the Potomac shakeup. I think they needed to get rid of some of the long standing to just change the dynamic.
Yeah. Once Robin was not sharing stuff on screen, it's like you're gone.
Yeah.
I hope they hold Kyle Richards to the same standard. I will say that.
I know.
We'll see.
If I don't find out about her and Morgan Wade in this next season, I give up with them.
I know. We don't want to hear about Morgan. If she's not going to be on camera and we're not going to hear about the
if we're not going to put a label on it, I don't want to see her. If she is still a friend, in quotes, wink, wink.
Yeah, right.
No.
Right. Hell no. Okay, so let's move on to the second half. Jessica, what are the kids talking about these days?
Yes. So just some trends that they're finding with the old Gen Zers, the young Gen Zers, I should say. They like to stay in a lot more than older generations, and it's not due to like inflation or costs or anything. This is still like ramifications of post-COVID world.
Mm-hmm.
So many of them reached, these milestones of turning 21 and all that during lockdowns, etc. They've just gotten so accustomed to being at home, they find going out too anxiety inducing.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I was rolling my eyes a bit, of course, as we usually do at some of these articles, but they were like, well, now, people just want to be out of the house. And so when you go to a bar, someone might just be there to like meet their friend. Someone might be there because they're open, like looking for love, and some are there for work. And I just don't know how to read the situation.
Oh my
and it makes
God.
me more stressed that like if I go up to someone, I'm like, what? Like that's always been the case. Not everyone at the bar is looking for love. So sometimes you can't just start hitting on everybody.
It's called life. You have to, figure out what people's intentions are.
We're just forever going to be finding things off the back of COVID that are just changing. So I think it's a big thing, like nightlife and restaurants are still feeling it, that a lot of people just haven't returned like they used to.
I do think I spent too much time in the bars, though, like growing
I
up.
know. I could have used a pandemic like when we were a little younger.
Get my life together in my 20s. Yeah.
But it just all comes back to like, I think they're going to be like the anxiety generation.
Yeah.
Everything is like scary to them. So the fact that going to a bar and they don't know what everyone there's intention of being there is, you never know when you walk in a room what people's intentions are.
That is crazy. Yes, I agree with that.
So yeah, when I read the headline again, I was like, oh, it's the cost. Everything's gone up and they're finding it too expensive. And it was like, no, their anxiety is keeping them at home. So they said it was something like the search on Eventbrite or like Paperless Post, one of those Evite things, the search to get like a invite card that was dinner party themed has like skyrocketed.
Oh,
so more
really?
people are just hosting things at home. And that was like something that I don't know if they could actually track that it was Gen Zers searching for that, but just kind of going with more and more people just are homebodies.
Interesting. I also think social media is a big part of that, right? Like you can still get so much connection in social media. You don't necessarily need to go out to like
I know, but it's
talk
not
to
real connection.
I know. I agree. Preaching.
I know.
Not fan of Gen Z. All right, so let's see. Conspiracy theories. So I have two quick ones.
Okay.
Now, Diddy's like everywhere.
Yes.
I'm not doing that.
Okay.
You want to know why? Because I do think legal action is being taken against people who are saying stuff at this point. Beyonce and Jay-Z are like coming after people.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to risk our 300 followers, that we might not be on air. Heaven forbid.
Everyone else is talking about it.
Yeah.
We'll leave that to them.
Okay, so first conspiracy theory is so stupid, in my opinion. Okay. But there's actually only one. Have you heard this? There's like no real pictures of Earth. That this is like a theory out there. There's only one, technically. So I found this on this show with this podcast. The show is called Epic Show with Gabe and Dave.
Okay.
And basically what they kind of say, and then I validate it through a couple of other sources, is that every picture that's been released on Google or has been released from NASA of Earth is like 3D rendered. Like they can't get a good shot of Earth. So Jessica, like think of like your iPhone background, like all of this is like that's actually not a real shot of Earth. And there's only one that exists from when these Apollo astronauts
were
went
on
up.
the moon.
Yes, and they took the shot, and it's called the Blue Marble, and that's the only real shot of Earth that exists. The second shot, there's one more out there, which it looks like, if your father, who's 80, would have taken a photo of Earth. It doesn't show it in a way that's at all helpful.
There's a finger covering the lens.
Exactly. It's like if the flashlight was on and then you tried to take a photo of Earth. So, like, to be really clear, right, there are partial shots, right, where somebody's gotten like this ocean or whatever, or sun is rising, so we see a clip of it, but not the full picture of Earth. And there's actually even somebody at NASA it's his job to like fill in the rest of the Earth shot when they need it.
Okay.
So the theory of it all, right, because it's like, why does this matter, is that basically we've not gotten high enough up to take a photo of Earth, which suggests that a lot of our like space exploration maybe was not real.
Well, I was just going to say, is this not like a double conspiracy theory for the people that don't believe the moon landing was real?
Right.
So we actually have no photo of Earth, if that's true too.
And NASA even put out this Instagram page of this satellite, and the satellite is like human personified. So it's like, I've taken a photo of Earth. Jessica, even these photos on this Instagram page look so fake.
Really?
Yes.
And it's like, how are we to know if it's AI? We're never going to be up high enough to go like, that's not what it looked like when I was up there.
That's not what that cloud looked like. Yeah.
Well, we need totally Elon Musk on this. I mean, he's all about space exploration right now with his company. So let's see if he can get some good shots.
Yeah, right.
Let's tweet at him. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, let's X him.
Yeah, right. I think it's an interesting thing. Now, a lot of people are saying like taking it way too far, but I think the reality is it's just maybe hard to get a photo of it.
Just doesn't pose well.
Also, if you're a flat earther, you might think there's something with that, which we're not flat earthers, so I won't go down that line. But, the second conspiracy theory I have is also lighthearted. Have you heard this whole thing about eels? No. That they're like not real?
No.
It's very weird. They're a very weird species. So eels are really hard for scientists to study. Or they've not done that much studying of them. Okay. So a couple of facts that I did fact check. So these are real.
Okay.
They don't develop reproductive organs until super late in life. So people will say on podcasts that like, oh, there's no reproductive organs, but that's not true. They just develop super late in life. Okay. But the scientists have never actually saw or found how they reproduce. Like, there's no evidence on how eels reproduce. Okay, so that's part one.
And there are male and female?
Yes, but the sex is determined by external conditions, like water temperature. It's like you're not born with, like, sexual organs, so you're not...
Wouldn't that also then mean all the ones in the same eels in the sea are all, like, the same gender?
Kinda.
If it's
until they get to a certain age.
And then they have to, like, swim and find...
But it gets weirder, Jess. So scientists have never seen like eggs or spawning. Mm-hmm. Apparently when eels decide to, mate, they all swim back to the Bermuda Triangle to do this. And I've fact checked this like across a couple of sources. So this is not just somebody saying it.
I can't say I've ever thought about eels reproducing.
Whether they live in Europe, in the seas of Europe, or the freshwater rivers of the US.
They go that far?
Yes, Jessica. It's so weird. And apparently there's been studies where they put like a bunch of eels in a bucket, and when it comes to that time of the year, they all try and swim in the direction of the Bermuda Triangle. and this has been proven. They spawn in the deepest sea forest of the Bermuda Triangle. So again, why scientists can't see. So the theory is basically they're not from our planet.
Okay. They are creepy as hell looking. Creepy. So
creepy.
Right.
And then an asteroid hit the Bermuda Triangle like 65 million years ago and basically left, the eel population there.
They came in that asteroid?
Yeah, they came in the asteroid, yes. And they're basically aliens. Anyway, so isn't it just a little odd?
It's very odd.
Now, there's no like conspiracy around it.
I was going to say, yeah, like what's the deeper meaning to it all?
But just that like this population of eel is like not from our world. It's like basically these aliens.
Do people eat eel? Is that like a sushi thing?
I don't. Yes, I do think. Yeah, I think my husband has had that.
I don't.
The weirdest part of the story to me is that they travel to the Bermuda Triangle.
There's something like drawing them there. Ooh,
gives you like goosebumps.
How close is the Bermuda Triangle to the country of Bermuda?
I don't know.
I don't know exactly where it is.
But it's miles. I mean,
it's the Caribbean, right?
You're an eel and you wake up in like a lake of whatever and you go, now's my chance. I have to get over to the Bermuda Triangle. And they know where to go and swim.
Yeah.
And they do like go super deep to get there.
We need to study their GPS, their internal GPS systems.
Oh, God.
How they know how to get there.
So 2 more lighthearted ones, the pictures of Earth and the eels. I don't think they mean anything in our society, but, they're kind of trending right now, I would say.
Something to think about.
Anyway, good to talk to you, Jess.
Yeah, you too, Lauren.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, bye.